Guys, welcome to Mojave. Today we're going to give the Qantas 747 a grand farewell at its rest place. This airplane's incredible history. 5 decades of service serving Australia and connecting Australia to the world. Well beloved. Before we go inside and check out with the captain, I want to share with you some of the great footage our contributor and our friends in Australia being on the farewell flights, and also a spectacular Sydney 747 fly over the harbour, and even they drew a kangaroo. So let's take a look at what Australia did to send off the farewell to the beloved 747.
I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of all here at Sydney Air Traffic Control, and indeed all air traffic controllers around the country, to say that it's been our pleasure to guide you through the skies safely. In fact, the Queen of the Skies through our airspace over the last decades. And on this bittersweet day, as we all suffer through this COVID crisis, on behalf of Australian people all over the country, many of whom have flown with you, it has been an uplifting experience to once again see Qantas raising the spirit of Australia with the flying kangaroo. Godspeed.
Many of you love the 747 just like me. It's magic. We grew up with this plane. We have so much affection towards this plane. So let's go inside, take a look of the 747 for the last time. There's nothing like boarding onto a 747, turning left as well. And this is the A zone, which is the nose, the unique oval shape of the 747 that many of us love it. Sitting here, you're sitting even forward than the captain and the upper deck in the cockpit. Look at all the signatures, people signing inside everywhere, farewelling this plane. Thanks for the memories, goodbye Queen of the Sky. And this one here, farewell the Queen. You will always be the Queen. And goodbye Queen, thank you for all the memories I've learned working on it, 48 years. Wow. This stairs here, for many Afghans, this is the 747 stairs to the heaven. Let's go upstairs. Wow, you can see like people been signing inside, even the galley doors. Thank you, Queen of the Skies, Qantas 747, 17 July, Frank. I have to say, it's still, the cabin looks very immaculate. It's just like ready for the next flight. Don't you agree with me? It's beautiful, clean, and still look very modern. I think it's still ahead of its time, honestly. A huge cockpit of the 747. Again, a lot of memories and inspired my aviation. And I think a lot of my love of aviation is really shaped from the Qantas 747, especially in the cockpit here. I still remember that day when I was 13 years old in 1994. I flew Sydney to Melbourne. A flight attendant took me into the cockpit, into the jump seats, and I sat behind the captain on the takeoff from Sydney to Melbourne. And at that time, the captain was so nice. He said, Sam, put your hands on the throttle, just like this. And then my hand was on the throttle, and he put his hand on top of mine, and then we pushed that throttle on the takeoff on runway 16 right, departing Sydney. Can you believe that? Those little memories really shape up the love of my aviation, and Qantas 747 has played a great part of that. And now, as many of you know, I just done my solo flights. And one day I dreamed about holding this yoke, and I'm trying to take off now. See that? Oh, this is very interesting. Never believed there's this much legroom in the economy class, right? I asked the engineer what's going on. He actually told me that a lot of seats are being removed here. They're being retained because these seats are well maintained. And then Qantas want to reuse the seats to train for the future crews. You see how wide the 747 is when everything is taken away? Massive, giant airplane. Loving it. You see some differences on the 400ER compared to the conventional 747-400. It's because Boeing put their signature beams, so the beams is similar to 777, 787 with a curve that gives actually travelers more headroom. So this is actually make the 747 look very modern. So the tour's not end. At the very end of the tail, that's the crew rest, right? The crew need to be rest on the long haul flights. So there's a mini upper deck on the tail of the 747 for the crew rest. There's 8 bunks here, all fully flat beds. I wish we can take off and leave now. We're just out here at Mojave, waiting for the last Qantas landing, and he just took off. The last 747 of Qantas just took off Los Angeles, flight number QF7474. Right now just took off passing 2,300 feet. You know, for a 747 to here, maybe 12,000 feet, it's gonna be less than 25 minutes. How cool it is, LA to Mojave, less than 100 miles flown by a 747. This is the moment we've been waiting for, getting on board the 747 and going to meet up with the crew. And so exciting walking up that stairs, man. I'm so privileged to join the flight deck today. We have the 747 fleet manager, Captain Ewen Cameron, and senior second officer, Owen Zub. How do you feel? Like, you must be super proud of being the last captain to bring the 747 to here.
This whole team, we've definitely got plenty of captains on this flight, and everyone, the whole crew, are super proud to be a part of it. It's actually, we feel quite sad that we've got lots of comrades as well that couldn't be here, and we'd love to everyone to have had a chance to see this, and it is very emotional. We can fly across the Pacific or the Atlantic Oceans, we can go into big airports, we can go into small airports. We did charters all around the world, we did rescue flights into all sorts of different places, Cairo, Bali, and this aircraft can do it. And
recently Wuhan as well.
Wuhan, we went to Wuhan as well earlier this year. So everyone has that association with it because we can be there. They see the big red tail, and it is a big red tail, and it's fantastic. A lot of the aircraft we have are enjoyable to fly, but the 747 just responds very predictably, and it's lovely to land, it's lovely to fly. It flies through turbulence nicely. It responds back to you very clearly and easily to recognise what it's telling you. It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
It's a really significant aircraft for Qantas, but aviation in general. The fact that it can carry telescopes for NASA or piggyback the space shuttle, it's just such a versatile aircraft. And there's probably only a handful of aircraft over the decades that have got that much of a reputation, and they won't last that long unless they're a really sound aircraft. And it's done that. It's done all these things with very good dispatch reliability. It's an iconic aircraft. That you'll hear that a lot, I guess, from now. Particularly special about that on a day like today. But as far as feeling about how I do about the 747, I think it's, for all of us, it'll be more of a reflection once we have finished and sort of at the end of today. Because one thing about being pilots too, we're pretty task focused, and everyone was very focused on, from Sydney through the Kangaroo, through the flyover, through the arrival to Mojave, to do the job right. And I think it's only now that the emotive part will start to kick in. But yeah, a very special aeroplane and a very special piece of history to be a part of.
Just want to say that brilliant, the Kangaroo joining. Whose idea was that?
Look,
it's your idea.
There was a whole team that went into doing it. We had our navigation department. Were instrumental in building up the route that we had to fly. We had a lot of assistance as well by air services in Australia. The Air Force were fantastic. They gave us a restricted area that we could completely operate in.
Wow.
It was a real team effort.
You kept us all in secret because everyone was monitoring flight radar once the plane departed the mainland Australia, heading towards the ocean, and we thought that's it, goodbye, we're gonna turn off and go home. But then the plane flew back. It flew back towards Australia and started joining, and then in the late time we found out that was the shape of a kangaroo. You're retiring.
Oh, that's why the two of us are in the front seats.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. How many years, Captain?
34 years in Qantas, 20 on the jumbo.
That's amazing. I think I remember Qantas was at one time all 747 airline. There was no other planes. They retired 707 before the 767 came.
Look, this is our little mascot.
Look at this. Oh, the Roo also wearing a mask.
That's
VH-OEJ.
Okay, ladies and gents, if you can see this phone, then you're in the picture. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
This is probably my last time walking down a Qantas Boeing 747 with a very heavy heart.
Yeah, my very first 747 was when I went to London, as young Australians do, and it was 1975. And it was such a thrill to get on a jumbo like this. And interestingly, my girlfriend, she flew from Melbourne. In those days it went Melbourne, Sydney, Sydney, Singapore, Singapore, Bahrain, I think, Bahrain, London. So, but she was frightened because when I got on the plane, she wasn't real sure if I was going to join her, but she was already on the plane from Melbourne. So she was getting a bit worried when she saw more and more people come through. Then eventually I appeared. So it all worked out well. But another time I've been on the 747 very early on as a reporter before that, we would go upstairs and it was a bar. There was a bar up there. You could go up there and have a cocktail in the top section there. Not seats, not anything like, you know, in rows of seats or movies. You'd sit up there just to have a drink.
That's right, the Captain's Cook Lounge.
The Captain's Cook Lounge, absolutely.
Fantastic memories, Robert.
Yeah.
An airplane like this with 400 people inside, 400 stories, 400 endless families connected to, and just the humanities, the fun, the connecting between the people, I love that. And somehow when the plane retire, I also associate that with me. It feels like a friend is gone or something like that. It is no doubt a very sad moment. I know you are all smiling behind. Yes. Cheers to the last Qantas 747, and cheers to Qantas and all your years of service, Captain. Thank you so much flying us.
This is my joining shot, and Captain Carmichael stood beside us, and he threatened to leave us in the engine. This one says, "Farewell, our 747. We will miss you. Captain Sherrill," which is me, and Paul Russell, rest in peace. Paul was a 747 captain and he passed away over a year ago. Beautiful person, wonderful family, and they're so excited to see his name.
And here's my one more time with feeling.
Nice line.
Qantas 7474. And then my wife has also written up here to her father, Barry Brown. He was on the 747 from 1971 to 89, and my wife also on it, Kiralee, 1996 to 2020. My father's Qantas wings from the 1950s. He flew the Super Constellation.
Wow.
All those years ago. So they were on my first trip in Qantas, and I decided to bring them with on this final trip of the Qantas 747.
So Owen, your family's generations of pilots, actually.
Yes, my wife is also a Qantas 747 pilot. Her father was a 747 pilot, and my father flew the Super Constellation for Qantas.
Look at this one, how cool. Somebody painted a really cool kangaroo on the Qantas 747. How cool is that? Thank you, Qantas 747. 5 decades of service. You will be remembered in not just me, many, 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 and many future generations, people's hearts, onwards and upwards.